Welcome back. Well, let's address some stocks. Prakash Diwan, market expert, joins us on the show. Hi, Prakash. Good morning. Good to see you in as always. Let's talk about first the Ferris players, since that was those are the few stocks in our top 10 that are likely to react to positive news flow. Now, there was always a duty in place. Now you have some visibility for the next 3 years. There'll be protection between 11 to around 12%. So the overhang goes out of the way, and the street will appreciate that. What's your view on these Ferris names, and what do you like? Because it's not only going to be the large cap names, even some of these mid-sized companies will react positively, and maybe some of those spike makers as well. They are second in the line, indirect beneficiaries. Your take?
No, absolutely. Good morning, Nigel. So I think this was kind of much awaited. It's been it's come through with some delay, and in the process, what's happened is most of the stocks have actually softened a bit. So it's kind of offering a very good entry point in most of the stocks, including the large caps. I mean, we've seen how the larger ones like JSW and Tata Steel have kind of lost some ground given the kind of the geopolitical uncertainties that persist. But what I feel is that if things start looking positively on the global trade with China, and generally China also kind of doesn't play a villain in terms of oversupply and things like that, there could be a very secular trend or a cycle that could be turning. And I would ride on that rather than just kind of some sort of a short-term tactical blip which could happen, which is positively, favorably likely to happen. But if that trend happens, there's the serious allocation that will come in from the active long-only funds as well, because India's ferrous capacity, given where ore is, given where demand is, I think is very well poised in terms of leveraging. The ROEs are going to become very, very significantly stronger. We've not seen that kind in almost like a decade. So I'm quite positive on it. I would bet a bit, and NMDC Steel, the numbers that came through, why did that surprise the market? Because nobody is anticipating quick turnarounds in some of these names. In fact, that I would go back to NMDC Steel and look at something like that even right now. After whatever has happened, because that's greenfield, it's likely to kind of start getting into a mature phase, and it could surprise us even further. It's not just one quarter, but things could look up even from a more long-term perspective.
Okay, Prakash, any individual stocks purely on the back of what has been announced can be done, a lot of possibilities, permutations, combination. Hopefully they go all out with regards to this GST simplification. But are there any obvious winners here, single stocks?
So, Prashant, very difficult to just restrict yourself to one stock, because if you really ask me, there's not just one beneficiary. It's going to be a whole, broad brush kind of a thing. But look at something like a Unilever. Why I'm talking about that is because atta, tel, sabun, as we keep calling it, these staples are where there was a lot of pressure. There's been volume growth, which has been very difficult to come by. Hygiene, personal hygiene and beauty products and all have kept things going, but it's not really working out in terms of this thing. So some of these names where it could have a broader impact in terms of changing the trajectory is where things could look up. People with good distribution, where the impact will be felt directly, will probably do much better than some of them. Some of the others, which will take some time to join the bandwagon. But I think from a perspective of valuation, risk reward as well, HUL now stand a far better chance to kind of get re-rated than some of the other names, which are already kind of doing well and have been recognized.
Okay, Prakash, hi, morning. So on cars, I think we'll just put out that story that our colleague is putting out. I mean, that's the hope that from 28% cars move down to a lower slab rate as well eventually. You think that'll change fortunes? I mean, let's park M&M aside. We keep having that conversation. But I'm saying the rest of the sector, would you look at, let's say, a Hyundai or a Maruti any differently now?
A good one. So no, definitely. I mean, see, this is the GST component in the purchase of new cars is significant in terms of what impact it makes. I mean, it's almost like saying you will have a discount which is across the board. You will have a discount. It's not, especially the taxation on the 4 meter plus kind of vehicles is so high that the car maker doesn't make great money. The dealership doesn't make too much money. It's usually a lot of taxes that make up for the large component. If this GST reduction happens and is passed on very clearly to the consumer, it's going to be because see demand elasticity from within the car segment is significantly high. I mean, you've seen price being so elastic that the moment you have reduction, whether it's a sale, whether it's festive season, whatever, things start looking up. Combine this with smaller EMIs. Combine this with a much better kind of convergence of utilization levels in terms of whether it's EV or hybrids and CNG and all of that. ICE engine cars will not sell as much, but I think hybrids, EVs will continue to do very well if this price reduction kind of actually comes into effect. So you could get into a virtuous cycle on the auto segment as well.
You heard that conversation in Hindustan Copper. The stock has been all over the place, mind you. 400 rupees stock became 200 rupees. Now it's at around 240 rupees. But the management is walking the talk. And this is the only core copper player here in India. So, if you could tell us more.
So, Nigel, when what we've been talking about is ferrous because of the DGTR anticipation of duties, but I think it's the non-ferrous that seems seriously so promising. And copper is likely to continue a very strong secular bull run globally as a commodity. I don't see any reason why Hindustan Copper cannot participate or leverage on that. Of course, there are issues related to execution which have always not allowed it premium valuation. But the management commentary seems very confident. The body language is very confident. And you don't have businesses which grow at 20% CAGR for a very long period of time. So this is one of those rare businesses. I'm happy you're getting it at lower valuations. It's a great entry point as well. Don't try to kind of bottom fish here because you may not get those levels, but keep adding, laddering up as it goes along. And it's an amazingly great asset that will deliver outperformance on the broader market. So I'm very positive on copper and on Hindustan Copper. I mean, you have to figure out how you want to play it from a entry point or from an FNO perspective. Now it's not even in FNO, so that's also, I guess, another overhang that's gone.
Prakash, I mentioned 10, 12, 15 names. Anything strikes out to you?
I think this is very much on anticipated lines, but remember, till the reduction happens and we start working on the calculation, it's going to be a bit premature. This is just excitement, markets receiving it well and responding. But I would recommend or look at buying into anything today for sure. As I said, HUL is probably one name which is due for a re-rating of sorts, and this is a good enough trigger.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it on that note, Prakash. Thanks very much for joining in. But for what it's worth,